Starting Amazon in 2024 is so much different compared to 10 years ago. There's way more competition, super saturated. We have to adjust and do something completely different that nobody else is doing. Today, I wanted to teach you guys the whole strategy I do when starting a brand on Amazon and doing something completely different in order to separate ourselves in the market that we have today. So, this is the Goldilocks zone. This is Ryan Levesque's way of finding a market and seeing if your market is too competitive or not, or too saturated. Essentially, we want a market that's going to fit in between all of these metrics right here: leadership skills, beekeeping, improved memory, and orchid care. The reason why is a majority of brands that start in this Goldilocks zone tend to do very good and have a high success rate usually. If you're wondering where I got this from, it's from the book Choose by Ryan Levesque. Incredible book. I suggest you read it. But essentially, when we start our product research in just a second, when starting a brand on Amazon, we want to make sure it is very close to being in this Goldilocks zone. We want to make sure the market isn't too competitive and there's at least some demand in it, but it's not overbearing and it's not hard to rank in. So it's that medium threshold that we are looking for, essentially. So let's get right into product research to find this market. So there are many ways I like to product research. I have many videos on different types of ways, but we're going to go with the basic way, which is starting on Helium 10. First search volume, I always like to see a customer that is searching this particular market at least 3,000 times a month, given that the longer tail search terms and the search terms underneath it will add up to probably 10,000, because each large search term has about 10 to 20, if not 30, smaller ones with 200 to 1,000 search volume that are extremely relevant to it, and are just longer tail versions of the actual large search terms. So I want at least over 3,000 revenue. I really want to make 20K or more. Give or take, you want your margins to be close to 40%. So I always like to look for above 20K in revenue. For price, I don't want to sell anything below $18. I don't want to sell anything above $45. Reason being, the cost to start a business above a $50 product gets really difficult if your product cost is $15 a unit and you have to test with 500. Do the math, that's $7,500 that you have to spend just to start your business. So I like something where I can get a product cost of $4 or $5, even $7, and go from there. So for review count, I really don't care about review count too much, to be honest. I feel like a lot of markets, even with a lot of reviews, we can come in and do very well with great branding and an improved product. So a way I like to do this is putting a bare minimum of 500, because I want to find an older market rather than a newer market. Newer markets tend to get saturated very quickly. So I want to find something that's been stable for a while. And then I want to find something with a maximum of, let's say, 5,000 reviews. We can even go 10,000, but we'll start there. For categories, I'm only looking for customers who are willing to spend more and not looking for the cheapest. So more enthusiast types customers who are enthusiastic about what they're buying. So this could be arts, craft, and sewing, because there's a lot of hobbies in that niche. Look at quilting, there's so many different ones. So then we're going to go patio, lawn, and garden, because gardening is a great niche with an enthusiast customer. We can even go industrial and scientific, and people do care about their cars, so we'll do automotive. So essentially, we're looking for a customer who's enthusiastic about what they're buying and willing to spend more. So we can start a brand and match that enthusiasm and perceived value to have that strong connection with the customer. We're not trying to sell something where it's just the cheapest type of product. We're trying to sell something where we can have our own price barrier and have nobody to try to undercut us. And for competitive revenue, I want to see at least more than 5 brands making 10K or more in revenue. So I'll even do 6. So we'll go from there. So let's see what we can find. So when product researching, I really just look for and ask myself who the customer is, who's typing in this. Are they willing to spend more? Essentially, like deer repellent devices, people do really care about their plants and the quality of it. So they definitely would be willing to spend $5 or $10 more for a better brand. You really want to, when you read these search terms, just think about who that customer is and if they're willing to spend more. So here's an example of a potential market I would look into. Thought I would show this. I have looked into this market before and have thought about doing something in this market, but it is a snail killer for garden. What's cool about this market is there's incredibly old branding in it. That's what I see. I see branding that is from 2010 and 2005 and nothing new coming out. So it's very old, nothing new. I definitely see an amazing opportunity to start something in this niche. It is incredibly seasonal though, so you would only expect your sales to be 8 months out of the year. So in the colder months, you would be selling way less. But it is definitely interesting this market because there is a lot of revenue during those 8 months that can make up your average to be a lot. So lots of old branding, like I was saying. Next thing we kind of want to look at in my criteria of starting a brand is what is our market conversion rate? Given in a 365-day year, how often, when people are searching, are they converting for the market average? So that would be my next step in finding out about this market. So let's check that out. So we're here in Opportunity Explorer on Amazon Seller Central. And what we would do is type snail killer for garden. We press enter. And what's going to come up is we're going to have different types of search terms we can click on. So it would be sluggo and snail killer, but they're going to give us a lot of different options in a second. There we go. So looks like this is what I was talking about as a metric for slug killer. For the market average, I usually like to see above a 5% overall conversion rate in the market because given that if we start a brand, we can typically be higher on that end. Given we have a great story, a great product, we can probably be closer to 10%. In this market, we actually see a 12% for this search term, sluggo slug. This is probably a big brand, by the way. And slug killer, we see a 10% as well. Snail killer for garden, we see 14%, and snail bait. So this is very high on our search conversion rate. There's a lot more criteria I want to search though into knowing how much search volume is in this market as well. But this is the next criteria I look at to see if this is above 5% on a search conversion rate. So without further ado, let's get into the search volume aspect and look at how much demand there actually is in this market. So we are seeing really good search volume in this market. We are seeing that Sluggo is the big brand and they're getting a lot of search volume. I do not like to see sometimes a really big brand getting a majority of the search volume. Thus, I am assuming this is a brand and not just a search term, but I don't like to sometimes see a big brand getting the majority of the search term. I like to see not a dominant brand, but a wide range of brands. But so one's a little small red flag, but definitely still an opening in the market in my eyes. So we could see Slug Killer has 4,000 searches, Bug and Slug Killer 4,000. So I'm looking at around 4,000, 4,000, 3,000. We can just add up the search volume right now. That's what I'm doing. 6,000, 14. So we're seeing around close to 20,000 in my eyes, maybe 20 to 30,000 search volume, which is a great zone to be in. Typically, that's where I like to be in, around 10 to 30,000 search volume. Great range of search volume, and we aren't really going to see this market really die off over time. This is a market that should be stable for years and years. So definitely a great positive on that end. So as I was saying, this market is very seasonal. I always like to see something that's slightly seasonal instead of very. So if this was dipping like to right here and going back up, then it would be in my eyes a perfect market. But since this is incredibly seasonal, I personally wouldn't do it, but there's other people that do like seasonal markets that can make a lot of money in 8 months. So me personally, I wouldn't do this market, but very big demand in the months that it is on and selling. So it looks like really you have 7 to 8 months of great selling. and then you're going to be very, very slow on search volume, probably only making 5 or 10K in revenue during the slower months. But in the bigger months, I would imagine you do 20 or 30, if not more, if you have a great brand and you really are answering what the customer wants. Great potential here. Not exactly my market, but if it was your market and you were looking into potentially doing this, one thing to note again when going in this, not all products that you type in this will be perfectly in the Goldilocks zone. Some will be completely out. Amazon is definitely different than Google, but this is another like, if it doesn't work, it's okay. But if it works and it's in the Goldilocks zone, that's a huge check mark for the type of market you want to be in. So we'll look at Slug Killer. It's probably going to be a wild, yeah. So usually when you type in these, by the way, you want to go more broad. So maybe we could do, so definitely low on this end, but there's definitely a broader search term I can do here. I can't think of it right now, but essentially when you go in the Goldilocks zone, you want to go something more broad on that aspect. And then what I would do next if you were considering doing this market, and like I said, it doesn't always have to be in the Goldilocks zone because some markets are very, very popular on Amazon and then just really aren't on Google. So don't take this too seriously. Just think of it as a check mark if it is in it, and if it's not, that's okay. Make sure that the search volume though is great on Amazon. That's most important. So since though we see that this market has an over 10% conversion rate, looks really good on those ends. It is very seasonal. The next thing I would do is go into ThomasNet and look up snail killer products on that end. So you'd probably go more broad. So you would definitely go more broad on this end. So you could even type like garden protection or pest control, or I can even try just slug killers, bug and insect killers. There you go. And what you would do is you would call these manufacturers and they would lead you and give you the lead to where you want to call. So usually you're not going to get it right on your first call, but you say, hey, I'm looking for this. Do you know anybody who I can find for a US manufacturer for this type of product? And they will lead you to that manufacturer based on word of mouth that they know and connections they have. So this is a great way to have a US manufacturer, and to put this in your listing is so crucial. You can have it as marketing. It makes your product look so much better that it's not Chinese. People are not preferring Chinese products these days, so if you can get a US manufacturer, it's very helpful. And another big part of it is shipping from US to the Amazon warehouse is way cheaper than China to US. China to US, it could be $1 to $4 a unit for shipping. And then for Amazon to US, or US manufacturer to Amazon, it could be only 50 cents a unit. So don't be too afraid if your product cost is slightly higher on the US side, but then your shipping will help you make up for it compared to China being lower product cost and then shipping being way higher. So don't be afraid on that end. Just keep that noted when looking for a US manufacturer. And then my last criteria after I found my US manufacturer would be going into ChatGPT and getting help from AI on coming up with a really edgy or cool brand name to start a brand in a specific market you want to do. ChatGPT is very helpful on this end, so let's get right into it. ChatGPT here is going to give me really cool ideas on how I can create this brand. This is really cool. This is exactly what I'm talking about. As in, this could be your brand character on your package, just to really stick out on Amazon. So essentially you want to think of Amazon as a presentation, right? You only have a very small amount of time to capture the customer. In those very few seconds, you want to make sure they stop on their page and they see your package and they say, what the heck is this? And they click on it. That is 80% of what you got to do. The next part is just selling them on what you have and how your product is better, US manufacturer made. But this is a great example of what you could put on your package. Obviously, do your own research onto this market and if you want to do it. But I thought I would show this market as an example. Could have potential, but if you liked today's video, leave a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Very new YouTuber, so just figuring it out right now. Hope you guys have an amazing day. Take care. Bye bye.